The Masters and Aging volunteers are honored to tell John Bernadot's story. He was involved in music nearly his whole life. He was a singer, comedian, skilled promoter, and savvy music executive all rolled into one. If he wasn't on stage getting a crowd singing, laughing, and dancing, he would be out somewhere in the river valley fishing, camping, or boating. Later in life, he would become a music therapy advocate and practitioner. During the late fall and early winter of 2019 and 2020, we interviewed John, his friends and fellow musicians Danny Marion and Joe Cody. Thanks to them and many others who have contributed to this project. John was born in Winona, Minnesota in 1945. His parents, Elmer and Martha, owned a filling station in Dakota, Minnesota. They all lived in the house next door. The station kept both parents busy, but Martha still found time to volunteer for the local PTA, garden club, D&D Unity Club, and others. When John was a little over 1 year old, he lost his only sibling, 5-year-old Robert, to a sudden severe illness. John excelled in school as he moved through the grades. At Dakota Elementary, he received numerous attendance and library awards. When graduating from Washington Kosciuszko, he was on the honor roll and received the Citizenship Award, which is only given to one boy and one girl each year. These are the specific criteria used for evaluating the students. At the high school, he enjoyed playing football and baseball, including many other activities like choir and music. Just before graduation, he was awarded a scholarship for Winona State. However, John was thinking about other options.
Well, at what point did you decide that music was going to be your life?
Probably was in high school.
Okay.
The schools would call me in to do something, and it was because I would sit home and I would just do things, and my dad hated it so bad. I heard times when I would sit and hear Dad talking outside to one of the neighbors, and he was gonna come and break my guitar and smash it. So I would sleep it, when I'd sleep at night, I'd sleep it, because I thought Dad was ready to take my...
What did he want you to do?
He wanted me to be a fish
Fish
cutter.
and wildlife?
Because I would always go in the woods and I'd get a lot of... I'd go, well, not far from here, but there's some places where I catch trout all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime you want to go fishing, let me know. And they have to catch them good, because we need good dinners. But I do that around here that are just the greatest fishing. So that's what Dad wanted me to say.
He didn't want you to go to college?
He didn't. He kind of liked when I was in high school, and I did high school, and I got whatever kind of awards from high school, but Dad wanted me to stay and then go to college, and because college had offered to come and do anything here in Winona. And I didn't, and Dad was very unhappy that I would not stay there. I was getting out of high school, and I was offered to be with the Everly Brothers. And so I said, yeah, I'll just hit the road and do that.
John honed his music and entertaining skills at an early age. This article from the Winona Republican Herald shows one of the first performances was in December of 1952. It was a Dakota school holiday program. He was just 7 years old. In less than 30 days, John would be on stage again. This time it was for the March of Dimes talent show held at the Tragon Ballroom in Dakota, Minnesota. John's parents grew up on family farms in Pickwick Valley. The Pickwick Centennial celebration in 1954 is something they surely wanted to attend. By now, John would have practiced for years and performed at many venues. John did perform on stage at the Centennial. He had just turned 9 years old.
When I was a little bitty kid, my dad gave me an accordion, a little bitty one, and I started playing that accordion, which I still have them. And I played a lot of music. I couldn't properly learn music, but it would come and I would just start feeling things and playing. And I would go with my mom and dad when I was a little kid, and they'd go to Pickwick, little town, and they'd always go to a place where they have a dinner thing, and I would walk around, play the little polkas, and Dad and Mom were so happy about that. And then I got a bigger one, and then I played one, and then I played a piano, and
John continued to play the accordion, but with the rock and roll revolution beginning in the mid-1950s, John started to focus his musical skills on the electric guitar. This 1962 Winona High School yearbook photo shows him in a local dance band called the Constellations. The drummer was a Winona State student, and all the guitar players were local area high school students. Within a year, John would be putting together a new band that will ultimately be called Johnny and the Shy Guys. Larry Gulke was an original member of Johnny and the Shy Guys. In a recent phone conversation, I asked him how he remembered getting started with the band. Larry said that while visiting relatives in Dakota, he noticed John practicing guitar on his front steps. Larry played guitar too, so we struck up a conversation with John. They had a lot in common and decided right there to start a band. I also asked him about how they dealt with the long hours, hectic schedules, and constant promoting while touring. He said they just wanted to be rock stars.
But they were just high school kids, and in the old Lindy Shannon days of lacrosse radio, lacrosse music, they had a four-piece band, Johnny and the Shy Guys, and they took off like a rocket. Arguably the most popular group of that era, to exist. They had several recordings.
Lindy Shannon was a lacrosse music icon. He managed and promoted local talent. He DJ'd at a local radio station and also worked at a large downtown music store. He managed Johnny and the Shy Guys in the early days, getting them venues, recommending music, and lining up sock hops or Pepsi parties where they sold their latest records. By the time the band graduated from high school, they had already played at nearly 20 different venues. Their first big performance was opening for the Everly Brothers at the Avalon Ballroom in La Crosse. It was just a few months after the band had started.
By your side, satisfied.
The band continued to perform locally until the summer of 1964. They headed to the West Coast and played there many months. They even picked up a new band member in Oregon, Hal Atkinson. He was an incredible sax player and vocalist. When they returned to the Midwest under new management, they started performing in larger venues. They opened for Jerry and the Pacemakers at McCormick Place in the spring of 1965. At that time, it was the second largest hall in Chicago with about 5,000 seats. John met Sandra Lee Winklepleck when touring in Chicago. She was a vocalist in her band from southern Wisconsin. They got engaged in the spring of 1965 and were married that summer. Lindy Shannon was John's best man, and the band members were the groomsmen. John was excited to start a new life at home away from the growing drug culture. Amazingly, in less than 2 years, John and Sandra Lee would be back performing with their newly formed group, Sonny and Her Guys. Even after getting his radio license and becoming a full-time announcer at a local radio station, the young couple still had the urge to entertain. Their family continued to grow. In just a few years, the stresses of an entertaining life and family life collided and left John as a single parent of 2 children. He eventually married Joan Fox in 1972. She brought 2 children with her. Now they had 4. Over the years, they would have 3 more together. John was determined to use the independence, perseverance, and community service skills he learned from his parents. In the middle of 1973, barely 28 years old, John would start his own advertising and production firm. His goal was to service any organization, from sole proprietorships to corporations, schools and libraries, to hospitals and other care facilities.
He was able to fashion his talents into a career. There was a time that he did he was like a DJ when he first got off the road. But then he parlayed that into being a marketing resource to advertisers. There was a time when he was marketing for the Diocese of La Crosse. There was a company that had motorhomes that he'd take motorhomes all over the country for them and market and play. He was very skilled. He's a brilliant guy. I mean, brilliant. So I can't. I'm not aware of any job that he had.
John started out by doing TV productions like The Noon Whistle and Buy and Sell. He also did live broadcasts for just about any occasion you could think of. His business kept expanding, so John placed a help wanted ad for a designer. John Briggs from Minneapolis applied. When Bernadot found out John could play drums, that sealed the deal. They went on to become a famous music duo for many years, entertaining anywhere from the back of a pickup truck or the haberdashery in La Crosse. In the late 80s, Joe Cody from Spring Grove, Minnesota joined the band, and they became Bernadot, Briggs, and Cody. And for a while, John and Joe worked on jingles for the radio.
Service and understanding, State Bank of La Crosse. We will be here throughout the years. We want to work for you. La Crosse, leather and fur. We had a lot of them.
Bernadot, Briggs, and Cody continued playing together into the early 1990s until John tragically lost his wife Joan and his father just a month apart. and then in a few years he would lose his daughter, Tara, in a bike accident. John persevered. He started the Homer Gospel Hour to help heal himself and to heal an ailing church. It is still going to this day. In 1994, John married Therese Ralick. She was already a member of his John Bernadot Music Fun Show. They would continue on entertaining and being ambassadors for the community, promoting events big and small.
Well, hey there, hi there, ho there. I'm as happy as can be. We're downstairs in the library. Y'all just wait and see. Just a poem I made up.
That's good.
Okay.
Isn't he good? Yeah, all right.
We're in the library downtown Winona, and we have a nice crowd. They're kind of down the halls between the books. They brought accordions, they brought fiddles, or violins, I'm sorry. This isn't a bluegrass festival yet.
Not yet.
They brought recorders, they brought cellos, because
There's always room for a cello.
When John and Therese were not out entertaining in the community, they could be found at home working in their solar-powered recording studio. They created their first album in the fall of 1998. It was all about river life and was called Coming Home. One of the songs on the album is called the Wild Wings Song. It was released to coincide with the 25th Wild Wings Fall Festival in Lake City, Minnesota. They sang at that festival for many years. John would face one of life's struggles again in 2001 when he suffered a traumatic brain injury during a morning radio show. He was rushed to St. Mary's in Rochester. He endured 2 brain surgeries, multiple heart stoppages, and a grueling 2-week stay. Joe and Dan talk about their interaction with John after his brain injury.
He was basically given up for dead, and he rallied. And my first encounter with him after that, because we were very close, we still are very close, but I came into his room, and he opened up his eyes, and he said, "I've been to the edge, and it's awesome." And by that he meant he had been to heaven. And he had an encounter with his wife and child who had passed away before him. And it was electrifying to hear him say that. And so within days, he had a guitar, and he was walking around the ER, or the ICU, the ICU, and playing his guitar. And I mean, it was literally in days, maybe 2 days. And he always was able to play his guitar. He was an amazing guitar player. But unfortunately, the accident took away his memory. And he couldn't remember lyrics, and he couldn't remember people's names. But his guitar playing was on par with anybody.
John has told me that on about 25 occasions, he would be performing at a nursing home, hospital, senior citizen place. He'd see somebody's lips moving, and he'd say to the staff, "Bring that person up here." He'd do the song again, and they would sing along. And the medical staff would say, "That person was never expected to talk again." In music therapy, we studied how the brain works. The right brain tends to be the more creative musical side. I had an old friend, she played bass in the country gospel band. She had a stroke. Her name was Hazel Dahl, lived in rural Viroqua, Wisconsin. She couldn't talk, but my parents went in to see her, and they sang her favorite song, The Old Rugged Cross. She was able to sing along. When John was learning to talk and read again after his injury, he would sing, "Oh, give me a home." And then he would sing, "Oh, give me a spoon." So apparently his right brain was so well developed, it was able to take over some of the functions from the left brain. And he will describe something, can't come up with the noun for it. He would say, "Let's go have coffee at that place by the Blue Bridge." He can't remember King Street Kitchen. or he'll describe some musician and I'll be able to fill in the blank.
Down around the corner, half a mile from here, I got a dancer.
John continued making progress after surgery. He did struggle for the words sometimes, but he can play that guitar just like the old days. John was truly an ambassador for the community. If there was an event going on, he would be the master of ceremonies, or the entertainer, or the volunteer. Sometimes maybe all three. He loved entertaining, getting people to forget about their worries and have a good time. Just a few months after his brain injury, John was chosen to be harbor master for the Winona Steamboat Days, and just a few months after that, he was inducted into the Midwest Rock Hall of Fame. He was humbled that his music therapy sessions could empower patients or residents to sing and speak when there was no hope. John is blessed that he could actually witness the healing power of music. I think that little kid that played the accordion knew it all along.
Well, he is the character, he's one of the funniest men I've ever known.
He's just full of baloney and full of fun and full of love.